Hey everyone, I've recently been interested in making engines for board games, the kind you see for games like chess or checkers. However, I wanted to try and make one for a game that is not as researched as those games. So here's my engine for Mancala. If you don't know what Mancala is, you probably have at least seen it before. Mancala is a type of two-player games where you and your opponent use seeds in order to capture other seeds on the board. I'm being very vague because there is not just one Mancala game, but many. In fact, Mancala is thought by some historians to be the oldest game in the world. But for this video, I'm going to make an engine for Cala, which is a popular form of Mancala that is what I played as a kid, and the version of Mancala that Game Pigeon on the iPhone uses. Cala is a pretty basic game. The game is played on a board with 6 pits on each side and 2 big pits, or what's commonly called Mancalas, on either side. Each pit, except for the Mancalas, has 4 seeds each. You can play with different amount of seeds, but for this video I will be talking about the 4 seed version. Each player can only play the seeds on the 6 pits in front of them. Also, their Mancala pit is the one to the right of them. So for our opponent, it's to the left of us. In order to play a turn, you pick up the seeds from one of your pits, and in a clockwise rotation, you drop a seed off in each pit you pass. When you get to your own Mancala, you also need to drop off a seed there. Now here is an example I set up. You can see that when I play the seeds from my pit, I drop off a seed in my Mancala, and also drop off seeds in my opponent's pits as I pass them. However, I do not put a seed in my opponent's Mancala, and I instead skip it and go back to my first pit. Now my opponent plays their turn. They choose to play their last pit, which has 1 seed. Because they ended their turn by playing a seed in their Mancala, they get to go again. To show this again, on my turn I will play my 4th pit. As you can see, I placed my last seed in my Mancala. This means I can take an extra turn. I can string together as many of these extra turns as I like. For example, if I play the seed in my last pit, it gives me another extra turn. Now I will show how to steal the opponent's seeds. If I play the seeds from my first pit, my last seed played falls in an empty pit. This means I get to steal the seeds across from the pit and place them into my own. I also put the last seed I played in the Mancala as well. Another note is that if my last seed landed on my opponent's side, I cannot steal my own seeds, therefore nothing would happen, and my turn would just end. Now just to show how the game ends, I will play through the rest of the game. Okay, now my opponent will put their last seed in their Mancala. This makes their side of the board empty. When either side of the board is empty, the game is over, and you collect all the remaining seeds on your side and add them to your Mancala. And the winner is the player with the most seeds in their Mancala. Now that's how you play Cala. It really is not too complicated, and it made it easier to program the AI. Okay, now I need to explain how I am actually making this AI. For clarity, when I say an engine does a move, I will be giving that move a number. Here you can see the reasoning behind these numbers. Notice how both sides can at maximum only have 6 options total. That means we can represent a game state with a node, and each game state has a maximum of 6 moves that can come from it. Then those 6 game states have their own 6 game states. This would repeat until the game is over. We will use this tree structure to use an algorithm called Minimax. It is a way to traverse all possible game states and determine which is the best game state. I'm not going to explain exactly how Minimax works. There are specific videos that explain this probably better than I could, but the general idea is that one side is trying to maximize the score of the game, and the other side is trying to minimize the score of the game. In our case, the maximizing player would be us. We are trying to maximize the amount of seeds in our Mancala, minus the amount of seeds in the opponent's Mancala. The enemy or the AI is trying to minimize the score that we have by maximizing their own score. So in this case, they would be trying to get as many seeds in their Mancala and less seeds in our Mancala. So each turn, we consider that the opponent would choose their best move, and this is how we traverse the tree and determine which move is the best move. As you can imagine though, when you try to analyze all possible game states, you are going to have a very large tree. In a paper I was reading about Cala, it is estimated that the number of game states is around 6 quintillion, with the average game length being 30 moves. This means we cannot search every node of the tree, it's just not possible. So for our case, we will have to choose a desired depth to search before making our evaluation. I ran the Minimax algorithm in both Python and C, and here are the results. The yellow line represents the time it took the Python code to reach a specific depth, and the blue line is the time it took the C code to reach the depth. Unsurprisingly, the C code is faster, but I thought it would be interesting to show the differences here. We can see that the seed code got to a depth of 14, but it took around 3,000 seconds, or 50 minutes to do so, which is very slow. Here's the graph with a logarithmic scale. I will be showing both a log scale and a linear scale throughout the video. This is so you can get a better idea of the results. Okay, so I said the program was really slow for getting a depth of 14, but there's luckily a lot of optimizations we could do. The first optimization being alpha-beta pruning. Alpha-beta pruning allows us to cut off certain nodes of the tree so we don't have to search their children. This is because if both players are playing optimally, some positions will never be reached. Adding alpha-beta pruning, we can see our new results. You can see the previous code is marked with a gray line. As you can see, both the Python and C code are vastly outperforming the previous Minimax code, with the C code reaching a depth of 20 in around 20 minutes. It is also able to get a depth of 15 in under 10 seconds. This is so much faster than our previous program and is the single best optimization you can do for Minimax. There are other improvements we can do, however. The next optimization I'll be adding is move ordering. Move ordering, simply put, is ordering the moves so that the AI searches in a way that makes it so the best moves are searched first. This allows alpha-beta pruning to cut even more branches off the tree than before. This reduces the search time by a lot. This is a bit more complicated in practice though, because we do not know what the best move is. Instead, we have to guess what the best move is. Think of it as how a human would play a game. We normally analyze our best move possible first. Then if we find nothing substantial, we would move on to our moves that are less likely to be good. The concept here is the same. I set up the AI to order the moves in 3 categories: free moves, steal moves, and other moves. A free move is the most likely to be the best, so I check them first. Then we check steal moves because those tend to be the second best move. And lastly, we just check all other moves. Using this logic, we get these results. You can see we have gotten even further in depth in our first try. The C code is now able to do a depth of 25 in 1300 seconds, or 22 minutes. It does a depth of 14 in 0.3 seconds, which took our previously unoptimized code 50 minutes. But I'm not done. I have 2 more optimizations I added to the AI, the first being multi-threading. Multi-threading is a way to get my AI to analyze multiple moves at once. The way I implemented it was to have a single thread for each starting move and have the threads meet up at the end to determine the best move. This improved the speed a bit, but honestly not as much as I expected. It probably was due to my implementation, which could have been better in several ways. However, we still did get an improvement. We are now getting a depth of 26 in 24 minutes. I also didn't add this optimization to my Python code because it was a bit more confusing to add it for Python than C. And I think it was also clear that the Python code was always going to lag a little bit behind the C code. Now for the last optimization, I'm going to add futility pruning. This one is a little more confusing than the previous optimizations, but I think I can explain it in an okay way. Imagine a board where you analyzed and found that you were guaranteed a win by 10 seeds, but you are greedy like our AI and want to choose the best move regardless. While analyzing the tree, you come across a node where the opponent has 20 seeds in their Mancala. We know that in order to win by more than 10 seeds, you must have more than 10 seeds than your opponent. Since your opponent has 20 seeds in their Mancala, there are only 28 seeds left. If all 28 seeds were captured in your Mancala, you would only have 28 versus their 20 seeds, meaning you only have 8 more seeds in them. So under the best possible conditions, you are never going to get higher than a score of 8 with this board. Now we can just cut off this board completely since we know it doesn't score at least a score of 10. I hope that explained it okay. If not, it doesn't really matter. It only improved the speed a little bit. However, now we can get a depth of 26 in 1200 seconds, or 20 minutes, which in my opinion is pretty good. Okay, so here I'm going to analyze me playing against the original board with no optimizations at a depth of 14. To start, I played the third move, which I found, according to the paper I was reading, that the best opening is to do the third move into the sixth move. So that's what I did. Past here, I'm not really sure what I'm doing. But our AI decided to do the move 13, which I don't understand why it does, but it does. Here I decided to get an extra turn again by playing the second pit, and then I get another extra turn by playing my sixth pit. After this, I didn't really have much of a strategy. I was just playing to try to get extra turns and steals. So if I didn't have one of those, I just was kind of playing a random move. It's doing okay right now. It's a little bit behind me, but this is because Mancala is a game where the player that goes first is always supposed to win, unless of course it's an AI versus a human. More than likely the AI is going to win because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So here I'm playing for an extra move and things are looking pretty good. I just got an extra turn. Here I just play a random move. But towards the end of the game is where the AI seems to really get its strength. Here it stole a bit of my seeds. And then this is where I'm thinking it started to say that the evaluation was winning for itself. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's trying to steal all my seeds before I'm able to get them to my Mancala, since it's already ahead, and it's not looking too good for me. And finally, it steals my seed and then ends the game. We end up losing 30 to 18, which is a pretty bad score. And now I'm gonna play against the second AI. This AI is our full AI with a depth of 26. I'm doing the same opening of 3 and then 6, because that's what I learned from the paper I was reading. It said with perfect play, they should give you a score of at least 8 if you do 3 and then 6. The AI here also goes for an extra turn. Here I'm able to get an extra turn, so I went to go for it. Another extra turn. I can get another extra turn like this, so I'm actually stringing together a lot of extra turns. So this is honestly looking pretty good for me. You can see it looks like it's hoarding the seeds right now. I go for a little bit of a steal. We're really far ahead right now. It's 14 to 3 right now, but you can see that it has so many seeds on its side that it just needs to kind of like hold on to one of those storages, and it's going to get a huge boost when the game ends. I think this is the part of the evaluation that we were losing. There's just not much I can do here. I'm going to play this last turn, and I have to steal its piece, and then it gets all 15 of those in that storage and the other 2 that it has. We played a lot better of a game though, so the score was closer than the previous game. We had a score of 25 versus 23, so honestly, really good for me. Still lost, but doesn't really fit the narrative of this video that the higher depth is better, but I promise that this higher depth is the better code. I must just be getting cracked at Mancala. So if you like this video or want other similar videos and you're recommended, I would appreciate it if you subscribe. It would also make my day if you left a comment letting me know what your thoughts on this video were. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.